On Global TV News Express, President Tinubu urges reforms and more inclusion for Africa. In business, NNPCL cuts petrol price to 910 naira per litre in Abuja. On the foreign scene, Saudi Arabia introduces new skill-based work permit system for expatriates. And in sports, Eagles begin African Nations Championship preparations in Ikenne. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the News Express on Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Queen Agaba. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. President Bola Tinubu has called for a comprehensive re-evaluation of global governance, financial structures and health systems, advocating for a fairer, more inclusive world order that truly reflects the interests of emerging and low-income economies, particularly in Africa. Speaking at the 17th BRICS Summit of the Global South in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, President Tinubu warned that global challenges like environmental degradation, climate change and healthcare inequality continues to hinder sustainable development, especially across the African continent. The summit, hosted by Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, was Nigeria's first participation as an official BRICS partner country, following its admission into the bloc on January 17, 2025. The National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, has reaffirmed its commitment to advancing digital literacy in Nigeria's education sector. In alignment with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda, which prioritizes education, health and social investment. As part of this effort, agency's Director General, Kashifu Inuwa, has led a delegation to the Executive Secretary of the Universal Basic Education Commission, Hajia Aisha Garba, to deepen collaboration aimed at integrating digital literacy into Nigeria's basic education curriculum. The engagement marks a continuation of the National Information Technology Development Agency's broader strategy to work with key educational bodies, including the Federal Ministry of Education, the National Universities Commission and the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council to ensure digital skills development is embedded at all levels of learning. In another development, Nigeria has rolled out its first fleet of compressed natural gas (CNG) vehicles for the Nigerian Armed Forces, comprising of 20 buses, 50 pickup vans and 14 executive transport units. Was commissioned at the Mogadishu cantonment in Abuja as part of the government's broader clean energy strategy under President Bola Tinubu. Minister of State for Defense Bello Mohammed Matawale stated that the initiative aims to reduce dependence on fossil fuels, cut carbon emissions and support Nigeria's climate commitments while highlighting the potential for long-term cost savings and operational efficiency, describing the move as a step towards transforming the armed forces into a model of innovation and sustainability. Matawale stressed the importance of building technical expertise among military personnel and establishing CNG refueling stations at key military installations. The Senate has passed a bill mandating all raw materials to undergo a minimum of 30% local processing before they are exported from Nigeria. The decision followed the adoption of the report by the Senate Committee on Science and Technology on the amendment of the Raw Materials Research and Development Council Act 2022. The bill, sponsored by Senator Onyekachi Nwemboyi, representing Ebonyi North, seeks to promote value addition, strengthen the local manufacturing sector, reduce reliance on imports, and stimulate sustainable economic growth. The House of Representatives has scheduled a public hearing on the proposed National Assembly Infrastructure and Property Agency Establishment Bill 2025 as part of ongoing legislative efforts to institutionalize infrastructure development and maintenance within the legislature. In a statement posted by the official handle of the House of Representatives, the bill seeks to establish an independent agency that would be responsible for the construction, development, and maintenance of National Assembly infrastructure and properties. The hearing is being convened by the House Committee on House Services and is expected to draw participation from stakeholders, civil society organizations, professional bodies, development partners, the media, and the general public. Ahead of the 2027 general elections, with political alignment already taking shape and the recent opposition coalition adopting the African Democratic Congress (ADC) as its platform, many Nigerians are once again faced with mixed reactions. Our correspondent Priscilla Obasi hits the streets of Abuja to gauge public sentiment and to find out if Nigerians are ready to participate again in 2027. We'll bring you that report in our subsequent bulletin. The Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) has cautioned those seeking to remove labour provisions in the Constitution from the exclusive legislative list to the concurrent list to perish the idea. The call followed the public hearing held on the review of the 1999 Constitution across the 6 geopolitical zones in the country. The Congress also vowed that moves by those who want to further impoverish Nigerian workers would be resisted, stating that labour issues must remain in the exclusive legislative list to avert negative implications for workers and the economy. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Labour Congress has called for the unconditional and immediate release of all withheld local government allocation to the lawfully elected governments in Osun State. This was contained in a communique issued after the meeting of the Congress's National Administrative Council and the Central Working Committee held in Abeokuta, Ogun State capital. The body also asks the Attorney General to retract all unlawful directives to federal financial institutions and cease further politicization of local government autonomy. In the meantime, the Labour Congress has vowed to intensify enforcement of the 70,000 naira national minimum wage, targeting non-compliant employers, particularly in the unorganized private sector, where some workers reportedly earn as little as 15,000 naira a month. Assistant Secretary General of the Congress, Onyeka Christopher, stated this while implementation of the new wage has seen moderate progress in the public sector. Violations in the private sector remain a significant concern. Onyeka says the unorganized private sector poses the greatest concern, noting these are the workers that they are most concerned about. The minimum wage law offers them the most protection. Ahead of the August by-election, the All Progressives Congress (APC) faces internal squabbles in 4 strategic local government areas in the southern part of Adamawa State. The factional crisis is tearing the party apart in Ganye local government area, where the by-election is scheduled for August 2025, and in Tongo, Jada, and Mayo Belwa, where unity will also be necessary towards the 2027 general elections. You're watching the live broadcast of the News Express. When News Express returns, BRICS urges rich nations to fund energy shift as Trump threatens tariffs. Details coming shortly after the break. Please stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. If you've just joined us, this is News Express on Global Television. In business, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC, has reportedly cut its selling price of petrol in Abuja. This change coincides with a drop of global oil prices, with Brent crude dropping to $68.30 per barrel as of 4th June. NNPC Limited retail outlets sold the product for as low as 910 naira per litre in Abuja, which means petrol is now 35 naira cheaper than the previous price of 945 naira per litre. U.S. President Donald Trump has lashed out at the 11 nations of BRICS, vowing to impose an extra 10% tariff on the grouping that includes Brazil, Russia, India and China. In a post on his Truth Social platform, the U.S. president noted that any country aligning themselves with the anti-American policies of BRICS will be charged an additional 10% tariff, insisting that there will be no exceptions to this policy. Meanwhile, the BRICS has called on the world's wealthiest countries to fund the energy transition of poorer nations to enable just transition pathways that combine climate action with sustainable development. In a joint statement during a gathering in Brazil, the group stressed the importance of accessible, timely, and affordable climate finance for developing nations, saying it is vital to achieving fair energy transitions that align climate goals with sustainable development. This stance reflects the typical position of the Global South, which includes nations like China and Russia, arguing that industrialized countries have historically reaped the most benefits from fossil fuel-driven development and should now be greater responsibility for reducing the carbon emissions they produced. In a response to Trump, China says that BRICS, the grouping that also includes Brazil, Russia and India, was not seeking confrontation after United States President Donald Trump vowed to impose an extra 10% tariff on countries aligning with the bloc. Trump says he would send the first tariff letters to various countries days before his deadline for trading partners to reach a deal expires, adding that he would send a first batch of up to 15 letters warning that U.S. levies on imports would snap back to the high levels he set in April if countries failed to make agreements. On the foreign scene, Saudi Arabia has introduced a new skill-based classification system for expatriate work permits as part of ongoing labor market reforms under Vision 2030 and the National Transformation Program. The new policy officially redefines how foreign workers are assessed, hired and managed in the kingdom, with a focus on improving job-to-skill alignment, boosting productivity and supporting long-term economic goals. The rollout began on June 18, 2025 for existing expatriate workers. United States President Donald Trump has slammed former ally Elon Musk's launching of a new political party as ridiculous, deepening the Republicans' feud with the man who was once his biggest backer. The world's richest man was almost inseparable from Trump as he headed the cost-cutting department of government efficiency, but a fallout had over the president's big, beautiful tax and spending mega bill. Musk says the president's massive domestic spending plan would explode the U.S. debt and has promised to do everything in his power to defeat lawmakers who voted for it. Israel's military has bombed 3 ports and a power plant in Houthi controlled areas of Yemen, prompting the rebel group to fire more missiles towards Israeli territory. The Israeli military say it has struck the port of Hodeidah, Ras Issa and Asalif on the Red Sea coast, as well as the Ras Khatib power plant. The military also noted that a Stork radar system on the Galaxy leadership which was seized by the Houthis and remains docked in the port of Hodeidah. In the meantime, after 21 months of war, there are growing hopes of a new Gaza ceasefire announcement as Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meets U.S. President Donald Trump in Washington. Trump says he had been very firm with Netanyahu about ending the conflict and that he thought they'll have a deal this week. Indirect talks between Israel and Hamas on a U.S.-sponsored proposal for a 60-day ceasefire and hostage release deal resumed in Qatar on Sunday evening, which it is still unclear whether the key differences that have consistently held up an agreement can be overcome. In sports now, ahead of the 8 African Nations Championship taking place in Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda next month, the Super Eagles B, comprising of home-based stars, will begin camping in Ikenne, Ogun State. Head coach Eric Shelle has invited an initial 35 players to camp for the tournament, which will be played from August 2nd to 30th. The tournament was postponed twice before the new date was announced by CAF. Nigeria international Ola Aina has signed a new 3-year contract with Nottingham Forest, extending his stay at the Premier League club until June 2028. The 28-year-old full-back joined Forest in July 2023 on a 1-year deal following the expiration of his contract with Italian side Torino. He made an immediate impact, featuring regularly at left-back as the club narrowly avoided relegation in his first season. Meanwhile, Forest activated a 1-year extension clause in Aina's contract in May 2024 after securing their Premier League status. The new long-term deal now reflects the club's continued faith in the defender's consistency and versatility. Nigerian quarter miler Imabong Nseuko has blamed the Athletics Federation of Nigeria for her recent 2-year suspension, accusing the body of negligence and corruption, which led to her anti-doping rule violation. In a statement posted on her social media, the 2021 World Under-20 triple gold medalist described the situation as a product of a flawed system and a corrupt federation that has failed to support her when she needed it most. Uko's name appeared on the Athletics Integrity Unit's June 2025 sanctions list, which showed the 21-year-old had been banned for a violation committed on June 5th, 2024. And as Global TV News Express comes to an end, here is a recap of our top stories. President Bola Tinubu has called for a comprehensive re-evaluation of global governance, financial structures and health systems, advocating for a fairer, more inclusive world order that truly reflects the interest of emerging and low-income economies, particularly in Africa. In business, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPCL Limited, has reportedly cut its selling price of petrol in Abuja. On the foreign scene, Saudi Arabia has introduced a new skill-based classification system for expatriate work permits as part of ongoing labor market reforms under Vision 2030 and the National Transformation Program. And in sports, we told you ahead of the 8 African Nations Championship taking place in Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda next month, the Super Eagles B, comprising of home-based stars, will begin camping in Ikenne, Ogun State. And that's it on Global TV News Express. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365, on Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. I am Queen Agaba. Thank you for watching and see you again.